Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me today. I thought I'd digress from the usual going through the bots and take some time to do their holiday, their Halloween, their jack-o'-lantern here rated at 1600. And I've been going through these bots, as you can see from my other videos. So played jack-o'-lantern here this afternoon and ended up playing at a 83%. Made some mistakes, but we're going to go through the game and take a look at some things that worked and didn't work, and I just show my games straight how they are, and hopefully I and the audience can both learn from my mistakes. And so let's start out here. As you can tell from the book icon, there's these are textbook openings, nothing real creative here, nothing hasn't been done before. When you're starting out, just remember to control the center, develop your pieces. Get your pieces out there. Okay. And so we're going to go through this game and take a look at some things that worked well and didn't work well. You saw in this last I had a relative pin on this queen, pinning this knight right here. And that's kind of why I chose that square. Let's keep taking a look here. I wanted to double up the pawns. The danger of that is sometimes later in the game there's maybe a queenside castle, and then and then maybe this rook can come here and come down to where I want my king. I'm getting ready kingside castle. So there's some danger to this doubled up pawn situation here, but I felt pretty confident with it. So went ahead and I realized I made a mistake right here. Definitely, I should have, let's go back and look at this again. I should have took here, let this happen. Then I can take with my knight, take, and then now this would have been so much better. I've got future ideas of taking this rook for check. I've got this coming down here. Yeah, there's a lot of other options, and one of the things, let me get those arrows off there. Okay, one of the things is, if my opponent would jack-o'-lantern here, would have had double stack pawns and isolated pawns. No help there. So with the pawns, so that's definitely the computer pointed that out, and yeah, I agree completely. I definitely made a mistake on that, but 1600 is a very respectable ELO, and I say just keep going, and that's what I did. And we'll play it through and try some things. That's definitely what we want to do. So that was the idea. That's why that mistake popped up. Definitely would have been the better move. I totally owned the center on that and messed it up. But let's go back to the game, and so all that is not what happened. So get back to our game here. Okay, so that's what I did. Even though it was a mistake, there it is. That's what I did. Okay. Controlling the nice diagonal here. I'm going to get kicked out pretty quick, I would assume. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. And so I'm trying to make this a little bit of a faster video. I've made some in the past where they end up being, a good 20 minutes or something, but I do cover a lot of good stuff. So if you want to go back and look at some of my other videos, there's some good information, some good instructional videos on defeating, the 11, 1200, 1300. Anyway, so I think this was a mistake just because just really exposes king. I've got the queen right here. There's no protection. Definitely a mistake. And yeah, I thought about doing this like the computer said. I had my knight out here with ideas of just kind of, I know I can't come here yet because it's protected by the bishop, but that was probably a little too aggressive on my part, and it was certainly an inaccuracy there on my part. But let's see, go here. Okay, and I really wanted to get this going, and the computer says that was a mistake as well. But anyway, it's what I did. So there's check, and I'm going to get rid of this bishop and then get my pawn here. Starting to put a threat on this exposed king. That's what I got my sights on. Look at this exposed king. That's what you should notice and be after here. And so that's what I've done. Okay, now here's the problem. If I take with this, the pawn's going to recapture, and look, now there's a nice pawn structure again, or at least getting there. I don't want my opponent to have that nice pawn structure. So I'm going to get out of here and attack. I know it's defended at the moment, but it gives me a future idea, and I can at least pick up a free pawn, probably. So, yep, and there's the free pawn. Okay, so now I'm coming back. And with this move here, now my opponent owns this file. I don't really like that. My rook is just sitting here. They are lined up, which is great, but they're not in the game. I'm not really using them yet, which is a weakness on my part. Now, the reason why the computer says this was the best move is because I want to own this file as opposed to my opponent. So they take, and I was hoping that Jack-o'-lantern would, but in the higher ELOs, I don't believe that would happen because of this. Now, just two moves ago, my opponent owned this file, and now I do. So I'm very happy with that. So now my opponent is offering an exchange of queens, and I'm just looking at the pawns. What do we got over here? I got 4 pawns. There's 4 pawns. I'm up a pawn, but this pawn structure is terrible. The king's exposed, you know, and if I do take, then the pawn's coming over here. You not only got isolated pawns, but you've got 1, 2, 3, triple. Okay, so at this point, yeah, I'll trade out the queens. Now, I may only be up, let's see what we got here, 4 pawns. I may only be up 1 pawn, but my position is so much better. Now, one thing I do have to be careful about is my king has been sitting here in his trap. So if this rook ever, you know, has the ability to come here, it's mate. If I don't defend or give an escape route. So that's something that I'm keeping in mind. I just wanted to keep exchanging pawns. I was hoping Jack-o'-lantern would take it. And he does. So, coming down and threatening this pawn, I just quickly protect it. I did see this, and I thought about it, but I thought it doesn't go, you know, anywhere. Then this goes here to protect, probably, or it could move. So I just took the easy way, and I got some nice pawn structure right here. So that's what I chose to do. That's why I chose to do. Hopefully that helps you. Okay, back to the game. So I wanted to go ahead and start giving myself an escape route. It is pretty well protected if this ever happens at the moment, but I want to free up my pieces. I don't want my pieces so obligated to protect the king. You know, that's kind of, at this level, a mistake that people and myself make is, you know, get those pieces out there. So, okay, so let's get back to the game. Okay, so I realize this is under a threat, but I was hoping to go here for check. It is protected by the bishop, and so that was my plan. It can't go here because I own this square. So that was my plan. It said, now my opponent says, hey, do you want to trade these? And looking at the pawn structure, yeah, I'll do a trade. So that's what happens. We trade them out. And with the idea of I'm wanting to promote one of these pawns to a queen. And if not, I'm going to get my king in the game. And I'm going to definitely promote one of these pawns. That's what I'm looking to do now at this point. Okay. And I assume my opponent will en passant. They do not. Okay. And just remember, in this situation, your bishop is on the dark squared. It's a dark squared bishop. So I just try to keep that in mind and try to stay off the dark squares. My main focus now is really to promote a pawn over here into a queen. And so I abandon protecting this pawn and take out that pawn. And yep, I lose that pawn, but I did take. And so now I want to come over here and to the queen side and just see if I can promote one of these pawns. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to take care of that problem. This could be a problem for me. I realize it's defended, but you know, if something happens, I just, you know what, I'm just trying to play a clean game here. Let's get it promoted. I want to stay on the white squares. I have a white square bishop that can easily come here and defend whatever. So computer says, you know, that was not the right thing to do. Computer knows better than I do, but this is what I had in mind. I knew I was going to get rid of this bishop because that king can't get over here and stop me from queening. This can, the bishop can, but I'll take the bishop and then I'll have the other pawn to queen. So that's what I had in my sights, and then I really didn't care too much beyond that. Now, again, the computer says I made another mistake, but there probably is some better moves in here. But you know, this is all protected. I can, and this is a dark squared bishop, so I can just sit here all day, just like this, with these pieces protected. Make sure you give your king a place to go so it's not a stalemate. And then now I'm just going to try to promote one of these guys. And that's basically how I finish up the game. And Jack-O-Lantern knows, and so I just basically accepted defeat at that point because here comes the promotion. And now this is an interesting little ending. With this, I'm just trying to box this king into. I'm going to use my pieces together. Remember, even the queen by herself can't do a whole lot. It needs the aid of another piece. You got to get these pieces working together. So what I do is the idea that I had. So this pushes the king here. No place else to go. Now, I had my sights on queening and then it's mate because I own this and I own all this and it's mate. And that's good. The computer is going to say I made a mistake, that, you know, I should have started working. Let me clear off those arrows. You know, I should have started doing this. I have to give that king a place to go, which would have been here. Then I would have gone here, and it would have been mate. That actually is a little faster than my idea, I confess. But I just saw this, and I was like, well, the king's just going to sit here and go back and forth. I own, you know, all this. It's just going to go back and forth until I get this pawn promoted. And there it is, and that is mate. So I hope that gives you some good idea with your games. That gives me good ideas for my games too, of my good moves and bad moves. And the thing about this 1600, very respectable ELO. Just play with it, have fun, and you can go to chess.com and follow along with my YouTube videos and do the same boss that I do. This Jack-O-Lantern is here probably until the end of Halloween, I would guess. But a lot of fun. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.